There are certain events that exceed the resources that we have to cope with them, and they rip away our defenses, and they really bring us to our knees, so to speak, figuratively.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast Show. I am so grateful to have you here. We've got an urgent podcast for you. In my opinion, we've got an amazing opportunity for you to understand more about living your life with no regrets. Like, oh yeah, whatever. I'll figure out if I'm going to regret things later. Let me think about like we say those same old things. So many things that I'm telling you. That's why I say it's urgent. Don't let your mind take over and just say, well, maybe I'll do this or do that later. Listen in, because this guest is going to help you to realize that you've got to just go for it in life, basically. I mean, that's part of it, the foundation. There's much more to it, but that's the foundation. And stand in your queenship, stand in your authority, your sovereignty, and just absolutely do what you know is true for you and more. So I can't wait. She's a dear friend of mine. Michelle Atlas, I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Dan. So happy to be here. Really grateful to be with you too,
Yeah, right.
and for you.
Oh, cool. All right, so let's share more about Michelle now. Michelle empowers deep creative women to shed all that they are not. So that's you, right? A deep creative woman, you're shed all that you are not. You can't stand up when you're with Michelle. Reclaim your sovereign nature, the person you were born to be before they began editing themselves, before you started editing yourself, like, oh, maybe I need to fit in, right? So you're going to stop trying to fit in and just try to get love from people, right? Like, just start being who you are and let the people that are meant to love you, right? Here, her clients, I'm sorry, her clients create change uh, that they didn't think was even possible in the relationship to money, business, careers, and themselves. She's part business mentor, part shadow detective, part intuitive guide, part soul prosperity midwife, all this good stuff. Her personal experience converting darkness to beauty over and over again have given her coaching and her life a rare depth and wisdom. She's a very deep, wise soul for sure. She's currently knee deep writing her first book for women entrepreneurs, Your Sovereign Nature, TM. As an international coach and speaker for over a decade, Michelle has helped hundreds of women across 3 continents and 11 countries release long held money saboteurs and grow abundant businesses and lives that feed their creative soul and pay them generously by sharing the truth of who they are. So, Michelle, it's such a great pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much again, Dan. Thanks so much again. So much fun to be here with you.
Yes, likewise. And yeah, so it is interesting because me and Michelle have had some regular talks in the past, and lately it's not been as much, but that's why we're so excited to be with each other today. And I
Yeah,
think you guys will feel that, feel the excitement of like we're all together, right? Like there's kindred spirit and soul here that we've been with in past lives, probably, etc. And here we are. Hey, here we are again.
yeah.
So, Michelle, I remember back when I first was meeting with you, and I know things were a little bit lighter in the business sense at the time. It was a period of season for that, and I know, like, honestly, I remember talking to you about things like you should be doing retreats and things like that. At the time, I actually remember that, and so and then it's like you started stepping into your power and your sovereignty and your queenship and all this stuff, like everything started to change is what I saw. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, my business is like taking off and all this stuff. So there's been quite a transformation, and I know it's been quite a journey. We could talk for hours about each of our journeys, right? But I'd love for you to share more about how you got into doing this work, given that you have struggled like so many women and even men too, right? To stand in their authority, their power, trust themselves, just go for it, do your thing.
Right.
What's brought you to this point where you're, been able to have this breakthrough yourself, and now you're helping other women to have this breakthrough?
Right, right, right. Yeah. Oh, I know it's a big, big question.
Yes.
So yeah, I think, I mean, there's so much I could say. I'm just sort of I'm sort of thinking here which
Sure.
way to go, because there's so many different pathways, right, that we all end up um, sort of discovering ourselves and finding that sweet spot where we know that we're in our gift zone, and we know that we're thriving as much as our clients are in our work. And like you said, I had forgotten that you had thought I should be doing retreats, and they were in my heart to do for such a long time. So this is my fourth year doing this particular signature retreat, Awakening the Queen, and I change the focus every year a little bit, and we can talk about that in a moment. As you said, this year it's Discover Your Life of No Regrets. But for me, yeah, it's been a long road, from a traumatic early life. So much, many 30 years of deep transformational work with myself, with wonderful supports, some profound breakthroughs, some profound losses that were the greatest catalysts to my own evolution, to my own opening, and really rooting more deeply in who I really am, and shedding everything that I'm not, like I now help other people to do. Those profound losses and hardships that really where there are certain events that exceed the resources that we have to cope with them, and they rip away our defenses, and they really bring us to our knees, so to speak, figuratively. And that has happened in my life a number of times in a very profound way, and I'm profoundly grateful for all of them, because they gave me back the self that got lost earlier in life. And part of that journey, I bumped into the Queen archetype. And of all the different beautiful archetypes that women in particular can work with to find their true power, their deeper nature, I found that the Queen helped me so very much in the simplest, most direct ways to understand true self-ownership, really about reclaiming authority for my own life. And how, and also the queen has not was not always was not born the queen. She was not born a diva. A lot of people have a lot of concepts about what it means to be a queen, right? And sometimes I even meet women who have resistance to the queen because they've got these concepts about someone who's really just kind of into more appearances, or um, more self-absorbed, and not necessarily as concerned about others as they are about their own fame and glory. And this is not the queen archetype that I work with, or that we work with in my world. So she became the queen. This queen became the queen through many initiations. So, meaning many phoenix cycles, many deaths, and many rebirths, really going down that kind of descent I just mentioned, where she's had losses and hardships, and where she allowed all of those to convert her into something that she probably never could become without all those difficulties. And so that has happened many times in the lives of most queens. And she comes to a point, she becomes the queen by finally realizing that, through going through so much, that all is well no matter what. And it's a very profound place to be. She's got herself finally. She's rooted, she's the mature feminine. When we work with archetypes, we learn that the princess is the immature feminine, actually. And so we move, many of the women that I work with, and myself very much included, have moved from the princess to the queen. Once we understand these distinctions, it makes it so much easier. I work with clients who say, "Oh my gosh, like I didn't know I was living in the princess. Now that you're describing the queen, I'll just do that," and it changes everything. So yeah, so I decided when I was ready to finally launch my first retreat, every time I included the queen work that I had begun to do in any of my courses or any of my other offers, it was everybody's favorite module. They'd have, like, I'd be working with people for a series of weeks, and I'd go to the queen, and they'd all have huge breakthroughs. So I thought, obviously it was a no-brainer to do my retreat with the focus on the queen. And So that's how the Awakening the Queen Discover Your Life of No Regrets retreat has come to be. And registration's open now. I mean, it's occurring in December, but giving people lots of time to, connect with the material and the possibility.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I love about you, Michelle, too, is just that you're um, such a deep soul and that you're just really, it's truly you care like in this deep, deep, deep way for people. It's not like, yeah, I guess I gotta kind of make my way and I kind of want to help people and I love them and I'm gonna do this business and all this stuff. It's a deep, deep, deep caring and, soulful, truly soulful. Some people say they're soulpreneurs and all this stuff, and I'm sure they are, but you're just like that really like for real deep sincere very deep sincerity and with how you care for people and to empower them in this case. So I just wanted to recognize that with you because it's fairly uncommon, for people to be as visible as you've allowed yourself to become, and yet be exquisitely caring in a deep way, in the way that you are, and also have some of the like reclusive traits, right? That are like, no, let's just retreat, like you have, in your life. We didn't cover all the lifetimes in this life, right? But retreating, like let's just be in a monastery type of vibe or whatever, whatever it may have been.
Right.
But like, like to come out and to be like, yes, I'm standing for this, and really show up in the world with it takes a lot, and I think that's probably a big obstacle for a lot of women feeling like, I don't know, who am I? And, they're reticent about it as well. So can you tell us more about what holds people back from wanting to just say yes to coming forward with their voice, their energy, to live the life with no regrets? What are some of the common things you see that hold them back?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Your seeing of me. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. You always have. I know that's kind of a big part of what our friendship has been based on. I so appreciate it. Um, so, um, yeah. This issue of self-ownership, what I have found is that, and not just myself, of course, Carl Jung, the great late Swiss psychologist, talked about how for the first half of life, our ego is forming, and so we can't deconstruct it yet, no matter how hard we try. And every once in a while, I work with somebody really young, maybe in their 20s or something, and while they do grow and they're very genuine about their growth, I can sense that distinction between someone who's maybe under 35 and then all the women I work with who are most of the women I work with are over 35. And they're in a place where we all have conditioning, but until we're 35 or 40, we're it's like we're sort of settling for a lot of that conditioning. We're struggling, maybe we kind of know we're not as happy as we could be or as successful as we could be, but it's just, it's sort of a part of our identity, and we're not really quite prepared to separate from it as a really truly false identity. But when we hit around 35 or 40, most, and certainly beyond, many of my clients are also in their 50s and beyond, and I'm in my 60s, and we start to go like, uncle, just like this is all, I know I've always known there's more, and I'm ready to find it now. Like, this is no longer okay. This sort of, I'll call it like living a half life, where we live with this sense that we can't quite put our finger on, that there's something holding us back with money, with love, with our well-being, with blossoming our creativity, and being living as the truly, shining, gifted being that I know all the people I work with, we're all deep, sensitive, intuitive, creative, and in my case, women. I work mostly with an occasional man. And yet, it's like there's that veil that's been there. And so I feel like there's, this crossroads, this passage that occurs at whatever point, oops, somebody comes into my life that, says, I am ready. I'm like really ready. Um, has a lot to do with just waking up to the fact that they are capable of choosing something different now. And so this, I'll call it again, this reclaiming of one's authority for one's own life, no matter what kind of mother you had, no matter what, and I had a horrible mother, no matter really, truly, it's still hard to say that, but it's easier than it ever was. But she was an emotionally abusive, critical, demeaning mother. So I grew up with, I always joke and say I grew up in the school of low self-esteem, and so it took me a lifetime to excavate myself from that. It's the work of a lifetime for many of us. And but when we understand, we get to a certain point and we say, no matter what kind of mother I had, no matter what kind of father I had, no matter what happened earlier in life, what the traumas were, this is my life now. And if we, and again, the, excuse me, the, the Queen template helps. It gives you, it's like, here, look at her. She's inside of you. Can you find her in there? And women do. And I teach people how to embody her, not just learn about her characteristics, but how to really embody her as you. And it helps us walk that bridge from feeling like, whether it's subtle or not so subtle, a victim of our conditioning, a passive observer of life going by, to really feeling like, we are absolutely generating our own existence. We're generating, the truth of who we are. And it's not so hard anymore. That's the other piece. I used to, when I was younger, no matter how many therapists I saw or whatever I did, it all felt really hard all the time. And I experienced a lot of pain a lot of the time. And again, when you get to that place where the ego is strong enough, literally, a healthy ego is an ego that can tolerate loss and can tolerate being deconstructed. Within that deconstruction is the sort of what I call your sovereign nature. It's the title of the book I'm writing, the essence of who you've always been, that you before all this stuff happened. So all of these pieces, again, they start to come together once you say, I've had it with this again, this sort of half life.
Mhm. So, so as far as what holds them back, it has a lot to do with perhaps their um, background in terms of maybe upbringing sometimes, all the conditioning they've taken on and all those sorts of things, right?
Right, and the meaning exactly, and the meaning that we make of our, many of us know now, neuroscience has been so clear that our traumas are not really what happened, but they're the meaning we make of what happened. And so, my most recent body of work goes into how a lot of this begins pre-verbally. So we start to sense and feel, what our mother's existence is like while she's carrying us. What state is she in regarding receiving, deserving, giving? What's her self-esteem like? What's her attitude towards generosity, selfishness, success, money, love? And although it's pre-verbal, as sensitive beings, all of this goes into our nervous system. When we go to later live our own life, we end up hindered by sometimes memories of those messages, beliefs that we ingested as a result of, again, the meaning we made of certain difficult experiences. But even more insidious is the sort of sensory, our nervous system. We go to, like, let's say, make a lot of money, there's an opportunity, and we start to sense on a sort of felt sense embodied level different kinds of disease or different kinds of trepidation. And we don't even know it because it occurred pre-verbally, but it holds us back. So it's deep work. But yes, I mean, this is a long way of saying absolutely it's our conditioning that gets in the
Hmm.
way. And, but we do get to a point in life where you're not going to just keep spinning your wheels trying to work through it. You're going to actually experience breaking through.
Right, right. So yeah. So given the different traumas that people come to you that they've had, I mean,
Mm.
are they are they usually aware that these traumas are what's locking them up, or is it like
Mm.
I had no idea that my dad leaving me when I was 5, was causing this particular problem. I imagine it's a mix of things, right? But I'm
Right,
curious, like how often it's like traumas that people didn't even realize that created like this part of like them feeling frozen or locked down, like are words that come to me, like
right,
stay safe.
right. Yeah. Yeah. It is a combination, like you said, but a lot of the time, so one of the cornerstones to my business is money empowerment coaching, where I'm working with women on their emotional relationship to money and healing that. And so a lot of women come into my world through that gateway, and we absolutely do that. And what usually becomes clear very quickly is that our relationship with money is about a lot more than money. And so, as you said, very often they are not aware actually of exactly what it is that's in the way. They are aware of the symptom, they are aware of the way that whatever's in the way is expressing. But, like you, Dan, I've got a big toolbox and, ways of really just penetrating through the layers and very quickly. Again, when one is ready, they get beautiful results. I know you experience that with your clients too. Our own readiness is such a magnet to good. And uh, within a very short time, there's a whole lot of light bulbs get turned on and a whole lot of ahas. And the moment that that happens, we are in a position to begin making different decisions step by step. Um, I think that one of the things, so yeah, I'll stop there for the moment. That's a really powerful um, question and a powerful thing because it's really about what I see a lot of people doing is working on the wrong thing. And that's why they're not getting anywhere. So when we start working together and we get to the core, which usually involves very painful feelings, and what I've come to say is, pain is the portal to your power. It really is. We get scared, and in personal development and personal growth, there's a lot of, like hype around positive thinking and slapping an affirmation on everything. And while a lot of that's well-meaning and sometimes works, a lot of the time it keeps us exactly where we don't want to be. My own personal experiences that I had to face in very intensely and very excruciatingly into some very, very low feelings at one point in my life, and really own and claim how bad I actually felt as a result of certain, traumas and conditioning. And through doing that, it changed my life. It changed my life. It's a portal. We don't get stuck there. We don't stay there. That's a victim existence. But those feelings will follow us around forever until we just face them. They just want attention. They want to be penetrated. They want the attention they never got. And once we give it, they integrate or they dissipate. And, they are the river through which we end up on the next shore.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I just had a recent memory of something that happened in my life, which um, the persons or people, or I'll keep it really vague, that this happened with, maybe listening to this podcast, so I won't get into any detail at all. But like something happened where it felt like a angry, spiteful rejection type of vibe towards me. And after, like when you feel,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
I've had this repetitive experience, Michelle, and I feel like a lot of listeners have too, where you're in a flow, you're feeling so great about something in your life or a relationship or whatever, and you're like, I think I've actually turned the corner. Everything's going great. Oh my God. And you're like
Right.
the little kid that's like, oh, I'm having such a great time. Ah. and someone comes and smacks them upside the head or something. They're like, ah, the world's say it's safe. Everybody hates me. Oh my gosh, why did I ever believe it's any good? And like, like that kind of thing comes up. So recently, whatever happened, like I didn't have that level of response consciously, but it's still in there, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I thought this was going really well, and now this shows me it totally is not going well. And then that feeling is just like so dramatic, so strong. And
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, you know what this means then? And then all of a sudden there's a meaning to it, right? Like, then this means that, that means this, and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I happen to be, aware enough once I get out of my reactivity in the moment, maybe, not always in the moment, to see it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's an overreaction. Let's work with that. Let's unpack it. And in fact, when I was thinking about it again as you were talking about it, I'm like, hmm. So if I bring it back to it's all about me and it's not about anybody else, how am I rejecting myself, right? Okay, no, I'm not gonna reject myself. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it's a different words I use, but just to get the point across. So I feel like it's a never-ending journey in some ways, right? And yet we can have these massive breakthroughs when we work with people like I've worked with people and figured out some stuff that other people maybe didn't. And all of
Right.
a sudden, like I get the shift and I'm like, wow, I'm not feeling upset about that anymore. And at last to finally feel that empowerment and not be caught up in
Right.
all that stuff from the past. And it's tough because sometimes you think, I'm done with that. And then all of a sudden, we're back. Like, and then you gotta deal with
Right.
with that level of it, right? So
Yes.
I
Yes.
think I think like there's so much that we have to just suppress because it's how we try to get by day. But that's I think what kind of leads to feeling like, well, my life's kind of okay. And then but then when you really think about it, you're like, man, why am I not doing my dream? Why am I not taking more chances and having more joy in my life? Or, something's missing. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, something's missing though, if I'm honest with myself. And why am I acting this way, right? Like, is that
Right.
how a lot of these ladies come to you is they kind of wonder, well, why don't I just do this thing? Or,
Right. Right. And definitely to everything that you said. And I
yeah, I
think
know
that
it's a lot.
yeah, totally. And I know what you mean because we're so, as such sensitive people, we're so prone to internalizing everything and also being very hard on ourselves. And a couple of things occur to me based on what you've said. And I think that, what I find is that when it's like trauma, it's not like it goes away, but my experience is that as we do the work and we grow and we mature, it doesn't take over anymore. That's the difference. Like it used to be when I was younger, it used to be like whoosh, you're gone. All that you're experiencing is the trauma. Trauma's the boss. It's in the driver's seat, and you're just a passenger going, wait a minute, And it's
Right.
like, right. And it can really ruin, like you said, it can harm a relationship. It can harm a whole lot of your experience of yourself and your life. Um, I find that when my clients, as they do the work, they're able to, and this very much with myself as well, we're able to say, oh, that's my trauma. It's like you're still over here. It's just a part, it's just an experience. It's kind of like a train going by. You're on the train. You're not like going to stop and buy real estate there. You're not going to pitch a tent. You're not going to live. It's like, oh, wow, there it is again. But
Yeah.
you just, it's like, okay, I know what that is. I've been there before. I know what that is. And the minute you do that, you're separating from it and you're objectifying it in a good way a little bit. And then there's just a little space. And when there's even the slightest space, all kinds of other knowing and healing and intuition and truth can come in. So I think that when we're at that place where we've done enough work, we have to watch our expectations, because people will come into my world a lot and say, I want to get rid of it. I never want to feel that way again. And I'll say, that's not likely. That's not how it's going to work. But you're not going to lose your power to it. It's not going to take over. You're going to be able to move forward with the things you really want it's not going to keep holding you back. You might have some of those feelings at times. Um, and I think part of the other part is that, and I know this as someone who receives support and someone who gives support, is that a support, especially for us deeper types, a support deficit is poison, and so I know for myself, the moment I have the right support, my well-being, even if I'm doing fine, without it, my well-being increases exponentially in every area. I start doing stuff I wasn't doing. I start doing stuff faster than I was doing it. I'm inspired. Some of my tasks no longer feel like a burden. And the same happens, when people work with me or with you, Dan. It's like they feel supported, and that alone is so corrective. It's so corrective. It's because, we're not, as coaches, we're not a mom or a dad to our clients, but there is such a resonance around, giving support, receiving support, or giving support to ourselves, that it really opens the door right away to a different experience than we've been living in, that where we can't take those steps. There is someone there figuratively holding their hand, holding our hand, and the courage is so much easier to generate and to live into.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Yeah, I mean, you could have tons of friends, or not, but, or you could have, an amazing, husband or wife or what. You could have amazing support all around you, but, you may still feel alone. You may still feel like, I don't,
Yes,
I know they support me, and I know I have support, but I feel like I don't have this, like I'm not deeply supported, or I'm not deeply, yeah, I'm not
right.
deeply supported or seen as who I am. And I feel like that's something, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, like I offered that too, that ability to see deeply into people and whatnot, but like that's what hear that I would tell that to my clients a lot. It says, that value alone is huge, to be able to do that for people. So I help people with, being healers and making money with their businesses and stuff. So, but like for
Right.
you, like to bring this deep support, and you're just, yeah, I mean, you just get so center. And I had some stuff going on coming into the interview in terms of just getting settled in here, and you're very reassuring type. Some guests might be like, well, how dare you, have the issues you're having. That's an affront to me, right?
Yeah.
That's possible. And instead you're like, oh, don't worry, it's all good. Whatever words you said didn't matter. I could feel it. It's just like, oh, it's not a problem. Just concerned for you, if anything. Like, right? Like, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful characteristic you have. And then, you have the ability, when you're working with your clients, to, see what's going on for them. So, um, yeah, because it's tough when you feel like, I think it feels vulnerable for people. Because when I think about when I haven't wanted to reach out for help, it's like sometimes it's easier just to state it, or a sad story, than it is to say, you know what, I'm going to be vulnerable enough to share what a mess I feel like around this, and start opening up to some of these emotional feelings I'm having, and not even knowing where it's coming from sometimes, and
Right.
then just let someone else support you and help guide the way forward for you. And there's nothing like it. I mean, it can
No.
bring you totally in a massive turnaround. I mean, I've seen it, I know it's with your client. I know I've seen it. They're ready to go to the mental hospital, mental health hospital. Okay, I do just a few things in one clearing or something, and they're like, I'm on fire. And last months later, I'm still on fire. I still feel like a new person. I'm
Right.
fine now, right? Like all that deeper help, that deeper support can make all the difference. You're no different than I am in that regard with helping people. And
Yeah.
it's huge. I just, want to encourage people, because I think, and encourage me and you too. Like we continue to have the opportunity to reach out to people, get help, right? Like all of us,
Yeah.
encourage all of us, just, it's okay, find someone you trust. Yeah, bury your soul some, share what's going on with you, and let
Yes.
you the support in. So I know whenever I do, and I have, as long as it was somebody I really felt good about, like I never regretted. You just have to feel like you can trust that person, I think.
Right, right, right. Exactly, exactly. It's really game changing. I had a recent experience because sometimes when you're doing the healing and intuitive and coaching work, you forget that you're not being like where am I being vulnerable, right? I'm holding the space for a lot of people to be vulnerable, and then I'll notice when I'm in a little opportunity, less except with my best friend, let's say, but other opportunities, I'll realize, oh, I'm not fully kind of allowing myself to be seen and be in there. And I had that awareness in a little group that I'm a part of, and just a week ago, and my partner and I had been going through a little sticking, a sticky point, and I felt really, like we weren't getting anywhere, and it was really bringing me down. And I chose to share it in this arena. It was like sort of a risk, like, oh boy, because you always wonder what are they going to think and blah, blah, blah. I didn't go into, any detail that I wasn't comfortable with, but I shared enough that I felt very vulnerable. And I so held, again, mostly because I was there. I mean, they were wonderful, but it's like I showed up and I felt so deeply rooted in myself and resting in myself afterwards because now I wasn't carrying that burden in isolation. And ironically, or not so ironically, my partner and I, and after we've been struggling with something for like really weeks and weeks, maybe even a couple of months that would not go away. And that evening, we had a massive breakthrough. And it was like it was kind of not even a really verbal breakthrough. It was just like the energy shifted radically for him as well, very much for him as well. And we came back into this really beautiful place, the place that our connection, you know, that our love connection does exist and is always
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
And I knew that we were done with this. We were done with that place. And that has
Right.
been the case now. And I thought to myself, wow, it's so energetic. It's so energetic. I mean, he didn't know I talked to them. And then what happened, and when what happened with him was just magical afterwards. But
Yeah.
it fascinating. I never
Yeah, it's
cease to be
amazing,
amazed,
right?
you know?
It's amazing how the people in our relationships that we say that they need to change, like,
Yeah,
they will
exactly.
change, but they just cut it out. Would they be nicer, more loving, more kind, and less judgmental, especially?
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Like,
then we deal with our own selves, and also somehow they're completely different people. Like it's just
right.
like,
I know exactly. I know it's kind of embarrassing, but it is exactly right.
right,
It's like
right,
we learn that lesson over and over again. Like, oh, my energy must have been weird, you know?
right, right. It
Right.
happens for all of us when we're
Right.
honest, yeah, all everybody. And so I think that's so great that you're able to share your humanness and whatnot. Because again, there's another thing that happens. People want to make themselves look bulletproof, and that only hurts everybody. Like if you think
Right.
that's helping the humanity, I don't think so. I mean, to show strength is one thing, but it's feel like, in other words, you'd be like, I'm all. You're right. Some of the queenship ladies out there, right? I mean, God bless them all. I mean, but I work with some of them, and helping them to. I know ones that want to share that message, but they're like, but I don't want to share it too much. I don't want to be too
Yeah,
deep
right.
into that, right? Like, I don't want to be known to just be this queen lady or whatever. I'm like, I'm okay, you're just afraid of it. You're afraid of the judgments out there
Right.
is likely what it is. So it's like, no, just stand in that and flow from there. And it can look like all kinds of things, right? Being the queen, living a life of no regrets and everything. So could you share more about what it even means to stand in your queen energy or, and live with no
Sure.
regrets?
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful segue because, well, and the queen and this life of no regrets fit together, like a hand in glove. Because so the life of no regrets is not a perfect life, and this is so important in the spirit of what you and I are saying. It's not about being above and beyond at all. It's not about not having had the perfect family or having done everything you ever wanted to do, and it's not about any of that. It is about your relationship, the intimacy with which you are capable of that you're capable of cultivating with yourself first, and then with your experiences of your life, so that you have the courage to become intimate with your grief. You have the courage to become intimate with your other shame. Some of these really life-changing feelings if that are very unpleasant initially, that we tend to culturally avoid or culturally give a really bad rap to. And so part of part of the life of no regrets is really recognizing that, number one, we could not have done anything differently. And I love the until now. So we draw this line in the sand because now we know, now we can. But we don't need to be, so there's again that fine line between, yes, grieving our losses, yes, 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 releasing shame around difficult experiences, but not wallowing to the point where we are not where the grieving isn't liberating, because it so can be, where the shame release isn't liberating. And then we say, I couldn't have done it differently until now. And then we're developing a more intimate relationship with the meaning, the beauty we can make out of the darkness, the diamond, what I call, mining diamonds in the dark. We all have different diamonds, and like I call my system that I'm sharing in my book, the Diamonds from Darkness system, because and it's for women entrepreneurs. I work almost exclusively with entrepreneurs, and I think that what we're really here to do, the kind of people we work with, my clients are really the type that want their business to be a path to self-actualization. It's just not a business for business sake. Because we're such deep beings and we're on this soulful journey, everything we do, our marriages, our partner relationships, everything has to be a path to self-actualization, or it just doesn't make sense to us. We lose
Mhm.
interest. And so
It's
that
not
this
like, hey, let's try to double down on a profit or a business, and that's our
right. It's
one
like
goal or whatever. No,
I
that's
mean,
not.
yeah, that'll happen, but
Yeah.
without the, this deep, where you're really excavating your gifts and you know that you're on your soul path, it's just, you're not going to be too motivated, frankly.
Right.
You're just not going to be that motivated. You're going to gravitate towards the things that feel like they do connect you more deeply to your soul. So we want your business to do that. And yeah, and so it's making meaning, using your business as this, because I call it the entrepreneurial adventure. It will definitely take you on a ride, and for the deeper person, and using all those experiences to make meaning of who you truly are, of your past difficulties, and then bringing that in, maybe not literally, but in who you're being in one way or another, into your offers, into how you're showing up, into your visibility, into the way you shine, no matter what you're teaching. It could be something, like how to make flower arrangements, but you're still dealing with it. You're still vibrating in a deeper frequency, a higher frequency. And this is how we touch people in those nonverbal ways that are just magic, where I always say people like us hire energy. They don't hire the resume, they don't hire the credentials. I've got a boatload of credentials. That's not what they hire. They hire energy. I do too. And yeah, and then the next step, I would say, so then we're once we move through the grief and the shame, and then we're making, beauty out of darkness. Now then we're freed up to listen to the whispers that have always been there. And we all have them. We all have something, that comes up over and over again, that we go, oh yeah, I can't do that, or oh, I shouldn't do that, or oh, what will they think if I do that, or will I lose love if I do that, or whatever it is. And so the life of no regrets, particularly that second or third phase of life, I feel like I'm in the last third of my life. Hopefully, it's a long third, but um, I'm listening to the whispers. I'm going, oh, I keep having this impulse to go away by myself for, a few weeks or a month. And, for the longest time I was saying, oh, but I don't want my partner to, feel hurt, or I don't want, and he won't. It's my stuff, But it's like we all have those, whatever it is, right? And, that we think, oh, they're not a big deal. I'm happy, I'm fine. But as we move into the later part of life, they are a big deal because there's something really beautiful in those whispers, or they wouldn't exist. And we don't know what is being held or available to us until we start to step out of our status quo and begin to just generate something different. And so the queen dovetails beautifully into all this because she has again becoming the queen involves really again this beautiful self agency, this beautiful self knowledge and self ownership, and really it's self leadership. And so we look, we start to feel as we move through all this where we are not being the leaders of our own lives. And so once we start to reclaim this sort of again this authority, this self leadership, this self knowledge, we realize that we're not dependent upon fluctuating external circumstances to have the experiences or the business or the money or the love or the life we want. And we realize that while, yes, just like we said, support is crucial, we also learn as the queen how to become for ourselves that which no one really did or could or would or can, right? No matter how happy you are with friends and partners. And we also need to know how to give to ourselves, how to presence ourselves at that deep, profound level that most of us did not get early in life. And that sets us free to live the second half or the third, section of our lives with no regrets, with no regrets. So there's a courage. All of this, ties together, and the queen's disposition, the queen, the sovereign queen archetype embodied disposition is stability. So she's kind of the Rock of Gibraltar. She's not rigid, but nobody's going to push her over. It's like she's stable. So you when you think about some of the queens throughout history, they're not they're not over giving. They're not like, over delivering, and they're also not the queens that you might have really, kind of resonated with. They're not remote and snobby and cold either. They're there. They care about their people. They're present, but they're right here and they're not going anywhere.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot in that when you start to, we play around with embodying the queen and walking like the queen and having conversations from that queen space. And it can change things really. It did for me. There were issues again from years ago when I finally started studying the queen, issues I had struggled with for years and years and years, social issues and, feeling left out in groups and various, that no matter what the heck I did, I could not stop feeling that way. And when
Mhm.
I started to work with the queen, I just said, I'm the queen, you know. And I literally, it might sound silly, but it wasn't silly. It altered my experience and what started to happen around me, just like we said, about the experience I had the other night with my partner. It
Mhm.
quickly started to shift everything that was in my orbit. I've known people who had women who had terrible self-esteem issues start to embody the queen and walk through airports and have like huge crowds just part for them for no reason, not even knowing what they were doing.
Right.
So
Well,
stuff like that
energy.
happens. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's very
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I've got it on my top five list of focus right now of being in my kingship, basically. So for
Same thing.
me,
Yeah.
I mean, because it can, men need the same thing, only in a different way, like in a sense. I mean, their own flavor of the same thing you're talking about. It's completely different and it's completely the same, one of those deals. And
Yeah.
so I feel like for me to be in my kingship, and I think this applies to queenship,
Right.
it's like I already value myself immensely. I feel I'm worthy of everything, right? I'm meant
Exactly
to.
right.
It's meant for me, and rather than it's this
Right.
idea of like, well, what do I have to do to prove myself or measure up or be worthy? And all that's from the trauma, right? And the wounding
Right.
and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I know you help people, you have a deep way of helping people. You've had this retreat going for 4 years now. I remember, I don't know, maybe it was 2 years ago last time I talked to you about it, but you're like, man, it was so amazing. Well, I just remember every time you've talked about it, you really have told me, like, man, it was just absolutely unbelievably powerful. And so you've got a queen retreat to help people to really, anchor into or, really live from that queen archetype that is in them. And so could you tell us more about, this upcoming retreat that you have?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is just a beautiful, I'm honored to get to do this. This is one of my favorite things to do in my business. And that was a discovery for me a few years ago. But so I love to facilitate kind of a multi-dimensional experience. And so I hold this retreat in upstate New York in the Catskills at on a beautiful piece of land. And this it's sort of a like a rustic luxury type situation where, it's very rustic, but it's also very beautiful and kind of a real treat and a special place to be. Gorgeous land. It's called Hemlock, and it's full of hemlocks, these beautiful, gigantic, ancient pine trees. And so we've got nature. We do fire rituals, so we've got this amazing fire experience. And we bring music into it. I play a few instruments, and we do a little bit of chanting and singing around the queen, kind of as part of the queen embodiment. And we do some art as well. We do some very transformational journaling and writing practices. We do some movement, some singing. It's a very deeply transformative, but also profoundly nourishing experience. There are three chef-created gourmet meals, multi-course meals. It's the best food I've ever had in my life. I always go to a venue before I commit to it and stay for a few days myself so that I feel connected and grounded and, experience it. And it's just, you get this delicious food. There's a spa on the premises, and I've learned, so that we combine the deep transformation with this incredible R&R. So I give a nice block of time for spa treatments if people want them, or nature into the woods, or so that it's not, it's a retreat, not an intensive where you come away tired and overwhelmed. We want you to feel,
Get out there,
really.
be a queen now. Come on.
Right, right. Well, when I was younger, that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And the first time I did a retreat was probably a very long time ago. And my client said, Michelle, that was good, but that was not a retreat. It was an intensive, and we're going to be working with this material for a very long time. And I thought, no, so I learned to really create, this beautiful space where you're going to feel very nourished and spacious, and time to yourself, and it's intimate. So I work small because I go deep, not broad. And I really feel I thrive, and you get my best when I really know what's going on with each person. No one ever feels lost at my retreats. And so this retreat will be, a max of 10 people, but it might be five, it could be seven. It's, like that, the kind of intimacy. And yeah, and the lodging is gorgeous. Everybody gets their own beautiful room. And so, yeah, it's 3 nights and 4 days. And, all the elements are involved, and all kinds of art and all kinds of beautiful transformational um, journeys, really. So you really come out. Every year I marvel at, the women leave in a different place, and I do too, than you arrive in. Everybody leaves in a very different place. It's a massive dose of nourishment for whatever, matters most to you. So, and yeah, this year we'll be focusing specifically. Every year I pick a new theme. It's always Awakening the Queen, but this year it's Your Life of No Regrets. And I do that. I'm doing that because that's been up for me. I find that if I focus it on something that's really been downloading heavily for me, it's alive. It's like very alive, and then
Right,
it draws people who it's also alive for,
right, right, absolutely.
right?
Yeah, I mean, there's this idea you're supposed to be at the other side of every transformation you're delivering, and I don't fully
Yeah.
agree with that. I at all, but I feel like, obviously, broken through all kinds of things and all that stuff, and but yet there's always more, and so whatever season it is for us,
Right.
I think the fastest way to break through and the fastest way to get to the other side can be to teach it, right? They always that's what it's always been said. You want to learn fast, you want to learn something fast, teach it. You'll learn it really fast because there's a way you're anchoring it. So that's part of I think the
Right.
wisdom of
And you're
that.
moved by it,
Yeah,
you're moved
yeah.
by, yeah,
Yeah, because you've already been, doing the work. It's just like, wow, let's just take it to another level. So that's fantastic. So, I feel like the opportunity for this retreat, we'll put in the links below and wherever you're listening, and you can check it out. And then also, Michelle is, this gets into the bravery. I feel like this is a opportunity to be brave and to live without the sense of regret or limits. Like, well, it sounds like it's probably going to be kind of expensive, so maybe I won't even bother. I don't want to bother Michelle if, it's going to be so much money and I don't have enough money and all this stuff. But, maybe that's not really true. Maybe you're just scared of everything overall. And maybe that's part of your breakthrough, to be bold enough to just take a step whether you do the retreat or not. So I know, Michelle, you're offering beyond like just sharing like the retreat and the page and everything here today. We'll do, but like you are offering an opportunity for people to connect with you on a
yeah.
one-to-one basis. So do you want to tell them about that?
Sure. There's a link to my calendar and that Dan has. And if you're drawn to the retreat, there are a couple of payment plans that really extend it and make it much more doable. But also, I'm talking with everyone before registration to make sure it is a fit. So there's the calendar link for that opportunity. But it's an exploration call. And when we talk, if the retreat isn't right, this would be a very no pressure conversation, I assure you. I have many other opportunities to receive amazing transformation. I'm offering a course that starts in September at a very accessible price point. That's been a real breakthrough course for my clients, and there are other ways to work with me privately too at a variety of price points. And I have a group I run also, and there's space in the group, and that's also again at a lower price. So there's a big continuum of opportunities to do this deep work and really to be met just where you are. But I like to start with, because again, I work deep and I want to feel connected to everyone that's in my universe. So I always start with a conversation. So please don't hesitate. And if there is nothing that feels right to both of us or it's not a fit, no problem at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always wanted to burst out laughing a little bit with this one piece. When you said, "Oh, trust me, there's no pressure," I almost want to laugh because if they only deeply knew you the way I do, they know there's no possible way you could be high pressure. I mean, you almost can't. You could do it, I'm sure, but we all could do it, right, mechanically. But like, it's just not in her character to be high pressure, so or pressure at all. She's so yeah, no worries there. I mean, and so, but yeah, she will be there in a strong presence though for you and help you to decide what's true for you. So which is perfect. Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether it's money, whether it's,
yeah.
life of no regrets, these are all areas that I work in that, really are all one area, frankly, but, they wear different outfits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, again, you're just so caring and want what people generally want from their own intuition and sovereignty that, that's the space you're going to hold for them, not only as clients, but in deciding if they want to take a next step as well. As the vibe I get from you. So, anyway, so Michelle, I know also if people are like, I don't know, check out our website. Maybe I'll just be on the edges for now. I'm just not ready for that. Um, Whatever the reasons may be, I know you also have a quiz. You wanted to speak for a minute on that? What about your quiz?
Oh, sure. Sure. Thank you so much, Dan, for everything. So this is a quiz. It's a money archetype quiz, meaning that it will flesh out, excuse me, your money personality type. And just takes about 10-12 minutes. It's the freebie on my homepage, michelleatlas.com. You can take it first thought, best thought, and you'll get a snapshot, an automated snapshot of your results immediately. that will start to tune you into your money gifts and strengths and your money blind spots. And then again, that can be, then you'll be on my list. You can stay on my list and you'll get my communications. You can unsubscribe if you want to. You can, take another step once you do whatever it is that you'd like to do. But that's a way to get into my world and also to find out this money personality. We're not all the same. One of the things that's been so empowering for me and my clients, the work I do now, is that we really look at each person's individual money type. And because we all have different money strengths and gifts and different blind spots, and that's why for deeper, more intuitive people, even these great strategies which abound in the virtual space, they don't always fit for everybody. So we want to look at your gifts and strengths and your blind spots, and this quiz will help you, the express lane to that very quickly.
Yeah, I believe I did take it years ago. This type of work is definitely where you were um, super focused on, especially too when I met you. And I know like that was part of like I thought it was so cool, and I was focused on money shadows at the time, and it's all part of why we connected. I mean, on the earthly realm. But anyway, like I was like, oh, I don't know where I saw you or anything anymore, but like I just remember noticing what you're doing. I believe I took the quiz. This is years ago, but maybe it was a different quiz even. Maybe it's evolved, but I don't have no idea. I just remember it was whatever you're doing is really good. That's why I reached out to you, and so I'm sure that you guys will absolutely love it. I know whatever I took back in the day, I really loved, and this sounds amazing because it's true. Like we're told, like you got to do this, you got to all day long. I listen to those videos all day long, by the way. I feel like, but not really all day long. But I'm saying I listen to these things all the time,
Yeah.
and I do so not because I believe every word they're saying, because I'm constantly like filtering for my own truth. I'm like, that's another perspective. Oh, is that right? Is that true or not for me?
Right,
And
right.
so sometimes, just being aware of your blind spots alone, like, is huge. So check out the quiz. We'll put it in the notes
Yeah.
below. Okay.
Yeah, it is really huge, right? Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, Michelle. So I'd like to just give you the overall last word for everything for today, and any last thoughts or wisdom you want to share with everybody.
Well, yeah, I guess I feel like we've kind of said it all, but I would say, that I'll just say again, this retreat is really life-changing for women, really game-changing. And I think that just even just taking a look at the page and can might even be an awakener for you, and I'll say take heart no matter what you're dealing with, no matter what you're experiencing. um, we can shift anything. We can shift anything, really. The breakthroughs are just waiting to happen. Um, if you have felt stuck and you have felt like you're just repeating something painful or limiting over and over and over again, we all have had that experience at some point, and I think you just haven't found the right doorway yet, but it exists absolutely, always, always. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the page right now, and lots of warm, so lots of warm energy in there, and yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just really digging in and just reading the copy, so to speak, or what's written here, because if you could start imagining yourself, quite frankly, at this retreat, that alone is going to, again, it's going to help to shift you. You may or may not attend, but if you start focusing on the retreat, imagining, and there's also a 4-minute video on here, which I'm sure you'll like to hear from Michelle. So definitely check out this page, and you can always book a call with her if you want to talk about it, at least with her. She has a button right here on that page.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, Michelle, I'm so grateful for you to have being on the show, and so grateful for the work that you're doing to help women that are wanting to stand in their queenship and their queen energy, their queen archetype, to do so through these beautiful retreats and much more. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Dan. I've just loved every minute of it. Very grateful.
All right. And thanks to our listeners. Thank you for listening in today. Keep on tuning in. We'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast.
For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.